and we wanted the ultimate scaling bot lane, and I think that worked out real well, especially against that Tarek Ezreal.
Oh yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about your side in the likes of the Mordekaiser. You touched on your draft deviation, I would say, from the common better known Mordekaiser build path with the Riftmaker. You did opt into the full tank. Looking at the composition, you were the true tank in this composition, with the Ivern playing more of the Enchanter role alongside the Lulu with the double enchanters. So, what was your thoughts as this game went on? As you were, of course, it was a choice to opt into this full tank, and yet you just couldn't seem to stop getting Geico to run into your queue.
Oh yeah, I opted to go into the full tank build, mainly to sustain against the Victor, Ez, and the J4 ganks. But mainly I went the Sunfire build instead of the Riftmaker, so whenever Fiora tried to punish me, she would end up getting burnt for a period of time, which, whenever they engaged, they would end up losing the fight overall, since I have the burning from my passive on top of my Sunfire. With that combo there, the burn's too much for Fiora to handle.
Well, in the end, of course, you did turn out on top. You had the better hands, all things said. And there was many times where we noted that you played really smart, or the casters, I should say, noted that you're pretty smart about playing around the position of the vitals on yourself, especially early when that matters a lot in the lane, for the amount of damage and the heal that they can get back from those. So overall, just a tip of the hat to you, Voidling, on spectacular showing in the top lane. Before we step away, though, I do want to give you an opportunity. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to say while you still got the desk?
Mainly just got one more thing. I was a little confused though, since I thought we were going against BBZ. Truthfully, it was more like a GG easy in the end, man.
There you go. All right, good banters, and folks, that's going to be it for our second game. We're going to take a short break. Hopefully be back very, very soon, as quick as we can, with our third game tonight to get us back on schedule. So stick around. Be hopefully back very soon.
Ruby is brought solo by this Azir, but unfortunately Street Smurf just not able to find that target. Not be the
Oh!
It's rocket from downtown.
Yeah. I still think you go.
Oh, we got to engage. Dax jumping right on top. Cataclysm coming out means Street Smurf is trapped, not able to get away. The Grand Emperor's Divide does manage to knock away some members of the rest of their team. They are going to get jumped on. In the meantime, Dax, Cataclysm is going to come out, shut down, going to go over to them as Azir does get taken down by the J4. A huge fight breaking out in the mid lane. We are seeing Warplight get a nice bit of damage off of those auto attacks, taking down Dax. War Leader in the meantime gets Thug Smoke, and that is going to be huge. But unfortunately, the Jinx Rocket is going to find a target, catching out one member of BBZ to stay alive. That is a huge problem with that Emperor's Divide, though. Knocking multiple members into the Taric ultimate means they're going to stay alive that much longer. That is going to allow for the rest of them to survive, but unfortunately, it's not going to be enough as Geigo gets completely shredded again. Escape, taking the Hextech portal to just appear right in front of 3 members of BBZ. Look at this. The Death Grasp doesn't pull Escape back quick enough. He's going to be able to Arcane Shift out. Death Realm, Geico versus Friendly Voidling, but look at this. I think the Friendly Voidling might be in trouble. The healing is out. The damage is not. The procs are coming off. Those vitals are taking so much. But Geico is taking damage from the entire.
Fat Pikachu versus TDE, game number 3 of Mythic's second day. My name is RLS Escape. You can call me Escape for short, or just simply Spencer, and I'm joined by the War Leader.
Yeah, and I'm happy to be here. We've got a draft that's already quite underway. But first, to talk about these two teams, both of them not off to the hottest starts out on day 1. What didn't put up impressive performances, and I'm really surprised now looking at these picks to see that Jinx, the blue 180 carry of choice for Fat Pikachu, Sivir is the one that's getting counterpicked. A bit of a change of pace from what we've been seeing.
Yeah, that shows something interesting. It doesn't show that you want to go aggressive, but you're willing to give the scaling over to the Sivir. Obviously, Antin's there with the Blitzcrank is a really common pick for him. Want to go for those big hook champions. Doyan locking himself in that Diana. We're going to see multiple Kevin hovers, as this team is a big fan of electric rats.
You betcha. So we're going to see a Cannon hover every single pick. Before we finally get to reveal that they are actually going to pick Rakan as their support into the Blitzcrank. I think that's really interesting. It has that option to dash back if the Rakan ends up getting hooked, so that will be pretty good. Also has 2 layers of CC, helps get through that spell shield, so I actually really like the pick here for Reen. And now we're going to have to see what TDE want on that red side R3 pick. This pick is really notable because you can use it to pick one of your solo lanes and get protection for them. But is this Belveth?
He does it! Okay, so this is very notable. Belveth, I don't think that we've seen her yet in either league so far since she came out. The one thing that I have to note here is that my natural response is, okay, you have to get rid of Yumi, you have to get rid of Lulu, you have to get rid of any sort of enchanter, because that champion can pop the hell off in a team fight if she has any sort of like enchanted support. The Blitzcrank's already been picked up. This is a raw ego pick out of Leaves. He thinks he's going to be able to take down Doyan, no problems with what is not a bad champion so much, it's just inconsistent.
Yeah, it's a pick that we haven't. It's weird, right? Because it's a lot like the Master Yi style carry, but doesn't really have that way to go invulnerable and dodge out on important CC skills. So yeah, the damage reduction on that Belveth E is massive, but the reason the champion is consistent is that very vulnerable to CC, and Fat Pikachu already drafted a fair amount of it, so we're gonna have to see what Leaves has seen to target this pick specifically, especially this early in the draft.
Yeah. Obviously, they don't have to take away any of those jungle picks. Almost certainly it's going to be Doyan going on to that Diana. I'm looking at the composition right now for Fat Pikachu, and I'm just feeling like it's like we're on 12-16. I'm feeling like it's an 11-16 draft. You know what I mean? Like, these champions are obviously still strong, but they're kind of tier 2 at the moment. They're not necessarily the priorities across the board, with the Jinx and the Rakan really just seeing some missing. But hey, you know what? Jinx still has some prevalence on the table. She's got good wave clear to try and match that Sivir out in the mid stages. Even in the early game, she can actually out wave clear her a little bit just because of those AoE auto attacks. And Rakan, like you say, should be able to break up what Blitzcrank wants to do in lane. On the other hand, though, we have been seeing, that GP taken away. The Mordekaiser finally locked in. There it is. And the Ornn and the Lissandra taken away. So a lot of focus on that top lane between Jaffe and Stormbliss. So I don't know necessarily what TDE is going to want to pick up here. I have to imagine that Zenzen's going to get his lock in. They're going to get that last pick in for Jaffe, but they've got room to mess around with their composition right now.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of bans towards the top side, getting rid of that Mordekaiser, the Ornn, the Gangplank. Champions I don't want to see in a game of League of Legends anymore, but we're going to see Azir anyway. So, unfortunately, we're probably going to get more Farm Fest in the mid lane, but that's okay. Zenzen's Azir should be a treat to watch. And Fat Pikachu going to get their option to counterpick.
All right, now, if I'm Fat Pikachu here, draft stuff that wants to do things early. Get some stuff going, because right now you've got 3 people in the enemy team that just want to sit around and farm, and if you give them the opportunity to do that, I think it's not going to turn out well. Right now it looks like it's going to be Storm put back on that Shen. Kind of falls into the do stuff early. I really want to see something aggressive out of that mid lane to just try and shove that wave in, make plays around the map. I don't know necessarily what it's going to be, but matched with the Shen and Doyan on the Diana, there's a room for this composition to really go aggressive and start to use that Jinx to reset, kill those turrets, and start to crush this early to mid game, which I think is what they need to do, because TDE is so happy to just sit back and farm for 30 minutes.
Absolutely. Time is counting down, and it's going to be Malzahar is a blind in mid lane. So ultimately, pretty reactive from the side of Fat Pikachu, and I think that is going to favor TDE, basically regardless of their top lane counterpick choice for Jaffe. And they're going to be absolutely happy to just farm up on that Azir, farm up on that Sivir, farm up on Velveth. Let's get everybody at 300, 400 CS and just dominate.
Yeah, once they get to those item breakpoints, it's going to be almost impossible. They don't have any notable frontline picked up yet, but Jaffe is going to be put onto the floor. Jaffe things at its finest. Jaffe's going to be in that side lane playing for the, I'm guessing the 4-1. So it kind of leaves TDE really vulnerable to the engage between Rakan and Diana to just jump onto their backline and create some havoc. I honestly... that not being a tank pickup to allow this composition to 5v5 comfortably is a little bit strange for me, and I'm liking where Fat Pikachu's draft actually took them.
Yeah, I have to agree. I actually do end up, at the end of the day, we were talking about how we wanted to see a little more proactivity at it. When we look at it at the end of the day, I do think Fat Pikachu have the better draft. That is the draft that I would choose to have if it were me. And I think a lot of pressure is going to be put on this Rakan and this Diana to make things really happen.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see how that thing plays out right now. TD making it towards this bot side. They want to try and get some sort of setup. See somebody overextends. It looks like it's going to be standard 5-point from Fat Pikachu. Not showing that Diana in the mid lane. I don't know if they're going to look for topside pressure or something like that. They've got those 2 paired up right now, but it's going to be no one found for TDE. And I'd be interested to know, yes, they are. They're going to go in to this bot side. No vision right now for Blackpink Trash. There's going to be room for the hook here. Jinx does see the Blitzcrank down, starts running away. There's going to have to be a quick reaction on that flash. It isn't there. And that is going to be the hook picked up. Oh! 2, and Jaffe picks up first blood.
Yeah, and that's a real tone setter, right? Because not only do you secure that kill, the Blitzcrank does the Blitzcrank cheese. That's a really common thing for Blitzcranks to do. You get caught by that, and then you fail your flash, and you burn heal. That is not a good feeling if you're Blackpink Trash right now. And we're going to have to see how strong their mental fortitude is, because that is not a good start to the game.
No, and there's definitely a lot of room for Leaves to path down towards that bot side really early, and it looks like that's what he's got on the table right now, looking for a leash in that top side. He's going to walk down towards this bot lane. Oh, no. Oh, no, don't do it again, you two.
They're going to look, but I don't think it'll be a problem. As long as they don't check that tri-bush, they just walk in the lane the safe way. It should be okay.
Yeah, all right. No, I was a little bit worried there. I was concerned that they were going to try and go for a flank at the level 1 right there. Was definitely room for some chaotic play in the bot lane, but no, it's just going to recede itself back to the farm fest that we were expecting now. Both junglers starting on that top side. They're going to make their way towards that bot side, but the Jinx without flash, I think, is what we're going to have to look for.
Yeah, and I do think that we're going to see a lot of farming around the map here. I think the only lane where there's really potential for action to happen is up in the top lane. Well, I guess also both of these supports have potential to do stuff as well. The Blitzcrank hooks could be pretty big, but I think most of them is going to be Blitzcrank hooks, Rakan gets in, ease out, a little bit of damage traded. But mainly up on this top side, the Shen and the Fiora fighting back and forth. I'm curious to see how that goes. Both of these champions have a lot of damage.
Yeah, no, and Jaffe obviously has that longsword being finished up, which is really good for him right there. Hook goes wide for Antunes, nothing coming from it. But yeah, no, Jaffe's going to be allowed to bully really hard, has that 400 gold advantage, big engage there from the Rakan. It's not going to turn into anything. Great spell shield coming out there from Ultravox, and it's just going to be neutralized once again in that bot lane.
Yep, gonna go back to that Omega lull state for the most part, as we see Blackpink getting that wave pushed in, trying to get out some pressure, get back to base. maybe a little early here. Try and just be safe on those recalls. Jaffe getting a lot of damage off onto Storm. Big trade for the Fiora in the early game. That's gonna hurt. It's probably gonna force out the Shen's teleport.
Jaffe continuing to be yucky in that top lane. Has done it before. Will continue to do it again. Now, I just want to say Diana finishing up that 6th camp on the clear right now, and has done that clear faster than Belveth's been able to get to her 5 camps. So obviously that Scuttle Crab's on the map. It looks like Doyan's going to want to contest that right now. It's going to be a lot about this bot priority. Obviously the river control does go over to Fat Pikachu right now. Antunes looking aggressive. They have that mid laner rotating through, but the placement is already there. Good flash out from Doyan, but there's 4 people here from Fat Pikachu, and now Zenzen finally on the move to answer, and it's just going to be a crab secured for Leaves.
Yeah, big flash expended from Diana is going to vastly limit her playmaking potential in this early game and reduce her ability to actually get onto these key targets on these early ganks. But going to be looking in this bot side, Antunes is stepping up aggressively.
The counter gank is there though from Leaves. Antunes taking aggressive. Good hook onto Blackpink. There's no flash on that Jinx, but they're trying to turn this around onto Antunes right now. Flash having to be burned out. Great heal there from Ultravox to keep his support alive. Now they're going to try and turn the flash. Does have to get burned, but Leaves is there to follow. There's no knockup available though. There it finally is. Gets that dash reset in the right direction. Now Doyan having to walk out of there on a sliver of HP. It's going to be a 1 for 0, but that is 2 kills found onto that Jinx and a big wave dumped into that bot tower.
Yeah, bot lane's going to start to be a problem now, even though the kills have gone over to Fiora and Belveth so far. So overall, I think the map is very TDE favored, the way that this game has shaken out, and TDE obviously really happy with where they are, and I think that Fat Pikachu needs to reevaluate their playmaking.
Yeah, no, unfortunate there. They had no idea that Lise was just sitting in that bush, but really good to just read that play down in the bot lane, take away anything for Doyan to do. Now, we could see eyes turn towards this top side, and we do see Leaves walking up there right now as a reset from Zenzen.
Wave is huge.
Yeah, no, it's a huge wave, so Jaffe really can't afford to lose this right now. And so I think Leaves is just going to be up there to shadow. There's a lot of vision top side right now from Jaffe to try and keep him safe, but you know what? He might not have to worry about the jungle right now.
Yeah, Jaffe's getting really low, taking quite a few shots from these minions. Potion's ticking, but Storm has a pretty big advantage right now, but Belveth, clearing faster than Diana at the moment, is going to be the first one to arrive at the play, and there's no vision, so this gank is a go. But the wave's really big. I don't know if Jaffe can participate.
No, and I don't know if Jaffe really wants to lose this right now. I don't think Leaves cares too much, though. He's happy to just jump straight on top of that. Shen right now finds a lot of damage all by himself. There's going to be the E blocked out from the W of the Shen, but it's not going to have any effect, and that is another kill picked up for Leaves. This Belveth looking like a good pickup so far.
Yeah, there's a part of me that really wonders if Shen just tries to flash away over the wall, right? You still probably die, but you deny more and more of those top lane minions. That wave is so massive, and the more of it you deny, could be worth more than the kill. Ultimately, though, dies pretty much in the middle of the wave, and Jaffe is only going to lose a few CS for that. So overall, another really good play for TDE.
Antunes, just being able to exert that pressure in the bot lane so far just by existing on this Blitzcrank. He has a bit of a reputation. I wouldn't be hard-pressed to imagine that Fat Pikachu is aware of this guy's proficiency on playing Hook Champions. And, you know, I've played against it before. The scariest thing about Antunes' Blitzcrank is his name tag. Nothing inducts more fear into that champion than playing it against Kevin. So, there's something to be said for that, and you know what? It's paying off in that bot lane right now. Small CS lead, but obviously they have been able to find that early gold advantage, and really just finding those 2 kills on that Jinx, both really at the hand of that Blitzcrank.
Yeah, 2,000 gold just 6 minutes into the game. Pretty much a macro and just leaning masterclass from TDE thus far, and they are going to try to convert it into this Drake, though. There is a pinch.
Yeah, and there's 4 people here. There's the hook in onto Doyan. He might be in a lot of trouble right there, but the Shen ult does come through to save his life. Big ultimate onto 3. Leaves this stuck in the middle, and the reset is going to come through from Blackpink. That is 2 kills picked up so far for Fat Pikachu. Zenzen and Ultravox are going to be running for the hills, and this dragon fight takes a swing in the opposite direction.
Yeah, Antunes hooking in the Diana, not exactly what you want. They TDE thought they could burst her down, but Stand United is massive there. Shen, able to provide the big shield onto the Diana, gets to live long enough for that massive... oh man, what? It's not Pale Cascade. I don't remember what it is. Anyway, the Moonfall sounds right. Yeah, there it is. It's that massive Moonfall onto 3, blows up the fight immediately, and all of a sudden, Fat Pikachu, big signs of life, gold's all of a sudden even.
Yeah, and that is a big difference, obviously, being able to get that. You haven't had the bot priority, so getting away with that single dragon right now is a really kind of nice pickup, because that wasn't guaranteed, and it's really scary to let the enemy team just dragon stack in the early stages of the game right now. Those souls are so powerful, and obviously that's Ocean, I believe. Obviously, we're being told Ocean everywhere right now, so I don't know what to believe, but that is going to be, to what I know, an Ocean Dragon picked up. And so that means that Ocean Soul isn't going to be it. That means that there's Hextech still on the table. You're still looking at Windrake, which could still be really scary, and you want to delay it. Pretty much everything on the table is terrifying at the moment, so being able to delay that or even put yourself in the advantage is really good. And look at this gold lead. They're pushing it even further, and now they're on the Rift Herald. I don't think TDE can contest this.
Yeah, and it's really important to secure those Rift Heralds into Belveth. When you have the priority, you have to drop a little bit of CS to make it happen, because Belveth, with the empowered little fishy boys, does some massive work on those towers.
Yeah. No, I had a good conversation with Joshi about the viability of this champion in competitive play, and he said, in a perfect world, Rift Herald 1 should be first tower with all the plates. Rift Herald 2 should be just about at the inhib, if not getting the inhib. And first Baron should end the game. So that is Belveth played to min-max perfection. And obviously she has the potential to do that because her Rift Heralds and her Barons are so much more powerful than everyone else's. So it's very important to, like you say, just take those away. And they've been able to do that very nicely. Fat Pikachu still keeping themselves in a good foothold. But it's whether or not this laning prowess that we've already seen from TDE is going to come back into effect.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Antunes to make it happen. Either a big roam up to mid lane and get that Malzahar out of position, or a hook like that, just a few degrees to the left, could have been massive.
Yeah. Kind of in a little bit of a reset state, obviously. We've got a few minutes until that dragon is up. This mid lane has been everything, including isolated so far. Doyan hanging out on the spot side, though. Walks straight over that ward, so Antunes and Ultravox are happy to know that he's there. Got this assist pings in the bot lane. Looks like they want to put this gold onto the Jinx. Leaves there with the reaction, but Zen, no TP available, and hasn't got that wave pushed in. It's going to be a 4v3 on this bot side right now.
Yeah, so Duba's looking for an angle. Doesn't want to push into Leaves, who's hiding out in that brush. So very important to not step up into dive position.
Yeah, Leaves, you just need to be there, I feel like, to deny any sort of damage that they can get. It's going to be 2 plates given over. And that will be the end of that play. Obviously, you can do more with the Rift Herald, but you put the gold in the right place. I think that's 50% of what they're looking for anyway.
Yeah, you're never really mad about that Rift Herald. There's obviously better Rift Heralds, but that's a solid one. You get gold on the Jinx, it's pretty good. You get gold on the Diana, it's pretty good. Diana going to be itemizing after that Nashor's Tooth completion, going to be itemizing towards that Sunfire Cape. And I do agree with the ordering of the items, because you're trying to equalize farm with a Belveth, who's a very good farming champion, so you're just getting that Nashor's Tooth into rinse, but Diana's walking into the top side.
Yeah, found Jaffe in an uncomfortable position right now. I have a hard time seeing Jaffe making this one work, but we've seen him do some crazy stuff in the past. Really good parry to keep himself alive there, but can't quite proc the last hit of the ultimate. Doyan picks up the assisted kill up in that top lane, and that's going to be a big wave going into Jaffe's turret.
Yeah, now we have an idea of how this mid-game is going to shape out, right? Both junglers, the Belveth and the Diana, looking very, very large right now. Both are on champions that have the ability to absolutely take over a game. And so I'm looking forward to how Leaves and Doyan continue to play these fights. Now, I think Diana has a much easier time playing these fights, diving in to a team that whose only real source of peel is the Azir wall.
Yeah.
And so I do favor the Diana in that situation, and also the Diana's a little farther ahead in terms of gold, which helps as well. But I'm really curious the way that Leaves looks to use those resets and get off DPS in fights.
Yeah, no, and how does TDE really want to play this right now? Because obviously they have the Fiora, which should give them access to some really nice 4-1. So putting Fiora in those side lanes, it's going to let her push. Shen can kind of answer a Fiora, especially not getting tower dough just between the taunt and the ability to block those auto attacks. Shen can kind of sit comfortably and answer these waves to a near perfection, right? So outside of that, TDE kind of lacks engage outside of Antunes getting hooked, which I think he's going to look for right now. Obviously, Sindubu does have that shield available. Barely missing the ultimate, finds Doyan instead. The Stand United is there once again, and Doyan finds his way onto the backline right there. Bless is going to be able to take away that taunt and keep the Sivir out of contention right now.
Oh my gosh.
Tight back from TDE. There's so much damage on the side of Fat Pikachu, and you know what? Storm's going to save another fight, but that almost looked dangerous for TDE.
Doyan was about 5 seconds away from having that Moonfall up. And if that had gone off in that position on top of 4, I think the game would have just ended right there. Luckily, though, I don't know if Antunes had perfect track of that cooldown or not, but it works out for the side of TDE. But it's, in fact, Fat Pikachu that are starting at the Drake, and now TDE are pushing to contest Sivir, not here yet.
And a lot of those cooldowns are already, been burnt, so I don't know how TDE gets it just like this by Leaves diving in and finding that steal. Gonna be really important for him to find those first stacks. Zenzen's gonna find his way out of there, and I think, in the greater scheme of things, I think you take that.
Yeah, no, TDE definitely calling out Worths in the chat right now. Really good play to get that steal, trading one for that Hextech Drake. Hextech Drake being a very, very strong Drake, one that you absolutely want to deny. Very good news to take that out of the enemy team's hands. Stop that dragon stacking, slow down the win condition. Again, very important due to the amount of scaling on the side of TDE.
It is going to be a Mountain Soul. So maybe that's how you solve the tankless issues. You just kind of let Antunes roll into his tanky items a little bit later than you maybe expect a tank to come into these plays. But, just rely on that Mountain Soul, rely on those Mountain Dragons just stacking up and getting that resistance on the side of TDE. But that requires them to get these Dragons, so I think they're going to be really crucial as we go into the 20-30 minute mark. These are going to be big Dragons to fight over, and I think, Baron might take a side-eye, which, again, could give advantage to TD because they get so much more from that Baron thanks to the Belveth than Fat Pikachu really could ever ask for.
And Rakan roams up, is spotted out. Jinx is actually losing out on so much farm in that bottom side. Has to give so much respect to the Blitzcrank piloted by Antunes. And Rakan is up on that top side to get that second Rift Herald to deny Belveth that power. And Ultravox is going to safely be able to pick up that bottom lane tower nearly uncontested. Shouldn't have an issue. That one is going to drop, and now we need to polarize towards this Rift Herald, because that is what the sacrifice play was all about.
Neither team is going to have the ADC there. It looks like a small trade in the bot lane. It's just going to favor that Jinx at the moment. Does have that Mythic finished up along with the boots. That is what the difference of a kill can actually find you, and a couple of plates. And it's just not going to let Ultravox get towards that top side for the fight that he potentially wants right now. Really good from Blackpink to just not give any room for that right now. Jaffe's going to look for that top turret. He's going to find it. So there's a lot of standing gold going over to the side of TD right now. Jaffe's not done, though. Trying to find a play onto Storm. He's got his teammates in the wings. Right now, Doyon's going to try and look to help out the Shen. The hook misses. Jaffe doesn't care, though. Dives under the turret, gets taunted, and it turns around once again. And now the engage is there. Taunt on to 3, but Antunes is going to be able to walk away. The Mouse of Heart all isn't going to lock down Leaves for long enough. Fails to flash himself. The Moonfall is still online. Doyon has to be looking for something right now to find onto Leaves, but the disengage has to come through. The Stand United is there. Now they're crossing pressure onto Zenzen. Leaves. I thought he was going to make it out on a sliver of HP, but this fight is falling apart for TDE. And Fat Pikachu, they get their Rift Herald, but they get a little something extra.
Jaffe goes so overboard on this play, issues the grand challenge, and chases Storm all the way down the lane, waiting for the alley-oop from Antunes, where it's nowhere to be found, and unfortunately, Jaffe, not willing to drop the play, dives under the tower, gets taunted by the Shen, beautiful play, and then Reen, massive Rakan ult into Flash. The wall is very good from the side of Zenzen, but it's not enough to keep Doyon off of Leaves here, off of Antunes. It's Zenzen trying to make a heroic play. The Shen ult, Stand United, is going to keep Rakan safe. And Zenzen falls as well. So massive game swing for the side of Fat Pikachu. They are going to probably take away this second Rift Herald of the game, and all of a sudden the Belveth pick is looking really questionable now. Because TDE, they haven't made a big enough priority on these Rift Heralds. And as a result, the Belveth pick hasn't really done much at this point.
Blackpink is totally dead.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know how you get out of this right now. There's the flash available right now for the jail. Everyone look away! Oh no, Blackpink. Not like that. Not again. That was a bit of a questionable flash anywho, because obviously there's still the hook available for Antunes. But nope, that is going to be the Jinx going down. More gold onto the Sivir. And so I've kind of had a thought. So I don't think about this because I don't really think of jungle or split pushing, but maybe the way that TDU is looking to play this, and I realize I'm getting to this very late, maybe they just want to 1-3-1 this. Maybe they just want to stick that Belveth down on the one side and just say, hey, Diana can't 1v1 me. And they want to stick the Fiora on the other side and just say, okay, Shen can kind of do this. And then they want to have uber wave clear between the Sivir and the Azir and then just play for picks with Antunes. I think that's how they have to play this from here on out, regardless, because they don't have the team fighting ability. Like you said, they're missing out on those Rift Heralds. I feel like that's something that TDE could realistically transition towards. It's going to be really hard for Fat Pikachu to shut that down.
Yeah, the 1-3-1 does change the way that Shen has to play it, but having a Shen is very, very beneficial for that 1-3-1, because if the 3 is ever getting picked on, there's a 4th person there in the wings, which is always really important. So something to keep in mind for the side of TDE. You have to be aware that the Shen can be anywhere whenever that ultimate is off cooldown.
Yep. No, I'm very interested to see how this game evolves. So I think right now it's just going to be Leafs farming himself up, trying to get that golden line. It's going to be a QSS picked up to try and deal with that Malzahar. He clearly wasn't pleased with it last time. Was able to live through it, but asking for a little bit more there right now. Dragon, 30 seconds on the table. The resets really haven't come through from too many of the members of this game. Really just Reen going back, grabbing those wards and ready for the setup right now. Antunes has already been sitting there and they're looking for a pocket. They're looking for some vision, trying to find a way, maybe onto Doyon, maybe onto Reen, somebody just to misstep into this river. It's been kind of cozy at the moment. It's hard to know. I'd really like to see what they actually have vision of right now on the bot side. They're paying missing. They're a little bit worried about where Antunes is right now. Jaffe's just hanging out in this top side, trying to keep the Shen interested, and that's a great move to try and pull them out of the wings there. Doyon feigning a little bit of aggression right there. Great flash forward to catch out Reen, and there's no way that's going to be able to get turned around right now. Leaves is going to pick up a chunk of HP. They're going to be able to do some damage to that Rift Herald. I think that's still going to be able to crash with the turret. Not quite going to connect, but that is the support and half of the engage profile taken away from Fat Pikachu. And now Antunes is going to continue to wreak havoc. Meanwhile, Jaffe, this top lane, though down a little bit of gold, I would say, still able to really deny a lot from Storm, and this is going to be the first point number 2 picked up for either of these teams. It's going to go to TD, which I did not see coming.
Yeah, I really expected a Stand United to come out there on top of the Rakan. I think with just that little bit more time, could have been really massive in terms of the Rakan ult potential there. Was running at 4 and barely dies if the Shen ult goes through. I think it's a big wipe for Fat Pikachu, and they get the Mountain Drake. But instead, going to go over to the side of TDE, who are very happy, and now the game is getting back to about an even state.
Yeah. Things have, once again, it's kind of a teeter-totter, settling back and forth a little bit. I'm enjoying this quite a bit. Both these teams really want to settle into their late games between the Azir, the Sivir, the Jinx, and that Diana. It's going to be the partially tank build out from that Diana, which is going to allow them to really play that engage effectively. I want to know how TD is going to break this comp out, though. They're putting Azir in at the sideline at the moment. Obviously doesn't dictate anything right now. We do have that Baron up in 30 seconds, so maybe there's going to be a look for some early Baron takes with that Bel'Veth on the map. She has the ability to do that. I'd be really curious to know if that's what TD wants to look for.
Yeah, and speaking of abilities that the Bel'Veth has, QSS locked into that inventory very early on in this one, trying to deny the Malzahar suppression, and let the Void... Yeah, they are looking towards the Baron. The Shen does have the ability to
right now. Leaves, takes flashed on, uses that QSS really late. He's able to get away, but Doyon still has the chase available. Reen is now on top, and now Ultravox is in a lot of trouble. Gets engaged on by that Rakan. Does have that flash available. He's trying to get his way out of there. Flash forward from Doyon. The ulti will go wide. They're trying to CC out that Diana, but I don't know. Does Ultravox get away from this? Reen diving forward. Last second can't pick up the kill. And that's going to be one given over back to Ultravox, who gets away on a sliver. Now Zenzen playing for Blackpink. Really good timing there with the ulti there, trying to find damage down onto this Jinx. There's no ultimate available, but look at the damage coming back the other way. Antunes will be the first to fall, and Zenzen walks away with a half HP.
Yeah, Zenzen trying to pull out the heroics, try and find a pick out of nothing, but unfortunately, 1 damage dealer versus 3 damage dealers does not make for a very good fight. The Shen on the wings just waiting, able to teleport freely against the Fiora, doesn't even have to in that play, and I think Baron is going to go over to the side of Fat Pikachu, but it's not exactly clear. Leaves is going to arrive to the play, and it's not easy for Bel'Veth to get over the wall, no flash, and the Baron does go over.
Wow, I'm surprised they let that one happen. Jaffe isn't able to create enough pressure just out of mana, and that bot lane can't cause like any sort of aggression onto that Shen right now, despite the lead that he's been able to build himself just out of the CS. But Ultravox had to be in base. He didn't have Antunes at the time. This Sivir is going to scale into something behemoth, though. That IE is going to be the next target online. And that Sivir gets so scary on 3 items.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very large spike for Ultravox once that last item gets in, and we're going to have to see when that's going to come through, it's probably going to be pretty soon based on the way that the game has been going. And even though there's a 2,000 gold lead for the side of Fat Pikachu, and they have been winning these fights, I'm definitely still worried about the sheer amount of scaling that TDE have. And I feel like if they can drag this game out to the 35 or 40 minute mark, TDE might just win off of composition alone.
It could. I feel like their comp is so hard to execute. That's my concern, right? Not to say that they're incapable, but they have such slim margins to make these fights work. I think if they can make one work, though, the tower killing and the objective killing between the Sivir and the Azir will be devastating, not to mention that Bel'Veth. So I feel like it's going to take a lot less effort for TDE to win post-team fight, but that team fight is really where it's going to be do or die for them right now. 1:15, and they are starting this dragon setup on the side of Fat Pikachu really early.
Yeah, I think Fat Pikachu understand that if the dragons keep going over to TDE, it's a very easy way for them to drag out to the late game when they're very strong. Mountain Soul is a very, very powerful soul, and also very good for dragging out games, just because the amount of shields and the amount of plays that it can shut down.
Antunes maybe looking for something mid right now. The Shirelles is pop flash traded on the Jinx, and that makes team fighting way harder for Fat Pikachu now.
Oh, I think we're up to 5 flashes that weren't failed, and I'm starting to get hopeful that players have learned about how to not fail their flashes. We had some flubs earlier on in the game, but it's looking good now. Antunes is really playing on the knife's edge, and we know that's what he likes to do. It's why he plays champions like Blitzcrank, really plays on those limits, and usually has a good understanding of them.
Can Zenzen really afford to be bot lane right now? We're going to have to see. Is Doyon was in range, but I have to imagine didn't quite get the reset, but that is going to push TDE away from this dragon, and now Fat Pikachu's going to have the first move. This dragon's going to die really fast. There's no Baron on the map. I think TDE is just going to lose this. I think that's a mispossession.
Yeah, really weird for TDE to just sort of... I feel like that was kind of an unforced error from TDE to lose all the positioning on that dragon. They really didn't have the vision set up for it, and they were posturing aggressively in mid lane, but not posturing aggressively towards that bottom side river. Jaffe's taking a lot of damage in this top side, and Leaves is there, but there's the potential for the Shen to just get a solo bolo if Jaffe doesn't play a little more carefully.
Fat Pikachu's showing 3 in the mid lane right now. They're just aiming to take away a lot of that blue side jungle. There's the dash away from Reen. Gonna have to dodge this hook as well, just on the tail feathers, but Rakana's able to get away.
I really feel like that could have been a powerful use of the Sivir ult there and secure that pick. It could have been really, really strong from the side of TDE, but she's needing to hold on to that cooldown. Does mean they're going to miss out on that one. And now Zenzen, let's see if this wall is enough. Looks for it. Blackpink.
Touch early, I feel like, from Zenzen. He's going to pay the price for it. Blackpink's going to get that reset and walk away. Ultravox unable to get his team there on time with the On the Hunt. But now we're going back the other way, and I'm just lost at how Antunes just finds himself in such a rough position. Now Fat Pikachu is going to be able to push this towards the base of TDE. They've only got 2 here to defend, and Jaffe sees no signs of turning back.
Yeah, ultimately, they're going to turn around. The wave clear from the Sivir is a strong enough deterrent, and TDE are going to live to fight another day. But wow, I'm not sure they want to the way these fights have been going. It has been Fat Pikachu favored at all points, and I feel like Zenzen hasn't really been on the same page as the rest of his team. I feel like most of the times that we've been seeing the Azir wall come out, they've mostly been in isolated incidents and not into these like big game warping plays that we know this champion can do. So we'll have to see if they can get that coordination back. And I think if Zenzen waits just like another 2 seconds before making that play, his team's in position, and it's really big for TDE instead.
Yeah, the thing is, it's a 2-part dash, so you can use abilities during the second half of it. I don't know if Zenzen's aware of that or if he's just used to the buffering system, whatever it might be, but just using that during the second part of his dash really costs him there because he doesn't get the distance that he really needs to push Jinx under turret and really cause her to take a lot of damage. She just walks out really comfortably. And that's another situation where they just blow a cooldown. They don't find anything for it. Doyon's so scary in this mid lane right now. The hook falling right in front of that Jinx's face, but she's happy to just toss a zap out and get some damage.
Man, I almost feel like the way that this game state is, Diana can just face tank some hooks and blow up people. Doyon used the second dash on the non-reset to get back to minions for safety, but if you hold that up and get hooked, I think you just killed them all.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think with the Moonfall available, you got the Jinx there for AoE. There's already that Runon's Hurricane finished up, so those rockets are going to crit across so many people. Really working towards, I assume, what's going to be an Infinity Edge right now, but it might be a Bloodthirster instead. I'll be real with you. I think with the three of them there, they can take that 3v3 really comfortably, but Doyon not feeling that comfort right now, or maybe just wants to stay secure, wants to play safe, and find this first win against TDE.
Yeah, it's looking really good for Fat Pikachu right now. They're looking like they're going to be able to get this one on the board. Ultravox doing a good job on the Sivir, staying safe. Valiant performance given the current game state, and still has potential to make something crazy happen. But the Diana Doyon
Jaffy's
has
at it
played
again.
so well.
Oh, Jaffy's happening in the spot lane. He's going to find a lot of damage off that ulti, but I don't really think you can kill the Shen. Not going to look for the dive this time. Has learned from last time, and now there's multiple people coming down. And it looks like they're waiting on the side of TDE. If they show those members bot side, that is going to be a Baron down so fast. 3 champions that kill it almost instantly. So Jaffy's pressure in the bot lane now is enormous.
Yeah, Storm does have the ability to stand united on one of the teammates and get in there, so it's going to be really hard for TDE to transition that Baron nonetheless. Shiny going to use the teleport to match Fiora in the bot lane and try and prevent from crashing into this tower, and it is able to do so successfully. It can do that because the stand united, like I mentioned, is still up and able to go, but Fiora is starting to walk towards maybe the mid play, or just getting some deeper vision, some protective vision to make sure...
They're on the read! Oh, but the flash is there. Didn't quite get the silence up. There wasn't a reaction there from TDE. Oh, there was so much room there, but I was able to knock up. But that is the flash out of the Rakan, which is a lot of that engage taken away. Now the flash forward on the ball. Oh. Pink barely flashing to the side and gets away with it. Now Zen in there alone, but trying to. There's room for Ultravox. Where is the rest of TDE? As Blackpink is now stuck under turret. TDE late to the reaction, but Fat Pikachu's able to turn it around. Leaves in the middle of 4. Jaffy is late to the play, and Zen making a heroic play might have to get sent back down.
Yeah, Zen is in his own world right now, and his world is beautiful. I mean, that ultimate massive pick onto 2 very important members that could be bursted down.
No.
That being said, making a correct play alone is worse than making a wrong play as 5, and as a result, TDE just aren't in position.
Really unfortunate. They've had some good ideas coming up, but the communication hasn't been there. And now they're going to make this rotation towards Soul Point. Fat Pikachu really with one hand on the end of this game right now. There's going to be room for them to rotate to Baron after this if they want to. They have the power. Those ultimates are going to be coming off cooldown relatively soon. I think it's really just they're in the driver's seat for this game, and being the side of TD really needs to find another one of those miracle plays somehow. But they need to be on the same page, and they need to be able to play it together this time.
Yeah, and I feel like Antunes and Zen just have 2 different ideas of what they need to do to get back into this game, and as a result, they're both getting caught out, and if they can consolidate and work together, and they're moving around the map together right now, so it gives me some hope if that's what they're going to do. If they can make their plays together, I think there's a lot of potential.
Antunes is there looking for a pick on the blue buff. Doesn't quite find it, unfortunately. 85 HP. It's going to go over to Sundubu. But those are the wins you're looking for right now if you're a Blitzcrank in this game. It's really hard to hook any of the members of Fat Pikachu and feel comfortable. The only person you can really get a handle on is that Jinx, and it's been so hard to try and find those picks on her. This is where Blitzcrank can really struggle. They do find a hook in onto Bless, finds his way onto Ultravox, but it is spell shielded away. There's the TP coming in from Jaffy right now in the backline. Is it going to be TDE to try and make this play work? Doyon only finds an ulti on the 1 right now. Jaffy's in the middle of 4, trying to make this play work onto Blackpink. Denies a lot of damage there, gets the spell immune away from the mouth of Horror, and this is the opportunity for TDE to turn it. Big engage from Reed, but gets completely shut down. Jaffy out on a sliver of HP, and now Leaves is going to try and turn this one back with the ultimate reset. Isn't going to come through, and it's just going to be a 1-for-0 as TDE limps away from this fight with their first victory of the game, but Antunes doesn't see that one coming, gets onto the chompers, and now the turn back the other way is potential, but Blackpink, no HP left. 1-for-1 at the end of the day.
That was such a swingy series of plays. Jaffy heroically 1 versus 4, utilizing that whole breaker inside a team fight. They said it couldn't be done, but it looks really good there, and TDE are now turning onto the Baron, and they shred it.
No, it disappears so fast. You've got Azir, you've got Sivir, you've got Belveth, and this small reprieve is all they need to be able to take away that Baron, and suddenly, this push potential from Jaffy is scary. This push potential from Leaves is scary, and they can really start to create some pressure on the map.
Yeah, we're going to see some Baroned up little fishies now coming out from the Belveth, and that is where things can get extremely scary extremely quickly, as now we see Leaves already moving up to that top lane to spread the fishy domain. It's about an hour past loach time, but I think it's still, those are some loachy fish. It can still be loach time.
Yeah, it can be loach time. I'll take loach time. What are we at right now? We're at 7:26. Okay, so we're like an hour, 20 minutes, a little bit late for loach time. But you know what? Fishy loach time. This will be it. Belveth making up for me being in game at that time. So I'll take it. You know what? This is why TDE really picked this one right now. So I'm curious to know, obviously has set up a really big wave in this top lane, and now they're moving this Belveth towards mid to play with the team. There's going to be some huge waves crashing, and I have to imagine that mid turret's going to go down. What can Jaffe do in the side wave now? This Baron buff is going to allow him to just take towers from a distance, which is something that Bless didn't have to deal with before, and now, look at this aggression from TDE. This is really what they were waiting for, was an opportunity to take this Baron. This is where this comp really shines. They've got 2.5 minutes to really show why they picked it.
Yeah, and this is the strongest point that Belveth's realistically going to have unless there's a second Baron, which I feel like the game could end pretty easily before that Antunes. Not quite finding the hook, but Jaffe, very strong split pusher. Doyon trying to come and shut that down. Here comes the ultimate.
TDE's not here to react, neither in the mid lane nor in the bot lane right now as Antunes trying to walk down. Jaffe's living for such a long time in this 1v5, though. They're having such a high...
And they're shoving mid!
Killing this Fiora and pushing into mid lane right now. Jaffe still hasn't gone down! And that is a mid inhibitor picked up right there for TDE. And now they have the pressure they need to move towards this top side. Jaffe can stay in the bot lane.
Oh, I really feel like they could have pushed the boundaries of that Belveth pick and gone for a Nexus tower there. The wave was so massive, and if you just keep the Baron buff on them, it could be... It could have been devastating, but TD are going to make the safer play, but Jaffe wants more!
Yeah, Jaffe getting re-engaged on, doesn't have the ultimate this time, still no flash available. He's going to get away from Doyon's Q. He has to be the cooldown right now, playing restrictive right now, but now there's no members of Fat Pikachu here to deal with the top lane, and it's this multi-pronged attack that's really starting to rip through their defenses.
Yeah, the Shen and Diana are still bot lane.
They're still trying to chase away from Jaffe. Jaffe doesn't quite have that TP online, but look at the size of this wave. Stormblast is going to take this 1v1 versus Jaffe, who's recuperated the ulti cooldown, and there's no way that Shen's going to take that 1v1 for Jaffe. Now 4v5 having to hold this base against Belveth with Baron. Top inhibitor will fall down, and now there's no inhibitors guarding the walls of this base right now for Fat Pikachu, as Antunes still looking aggressive. There's no flash available on that Jinx. Already traded the two of it. Raiders are going to find a desperation play in onto the back line, and there's such a big moonfall that it might just work! Blackpink chasing back the other way. Ultravox taken down to a sliver of HP. They are already without the Sivir, and they only have the Zen, Azir, and Jaffe in the bot lane to show for it.
Reading with such a huge play here. I don't know what the go-ahead was, but just the decision that Antunes or Ultravox had extended too far, and it was time to go. Huge play from Rakan there. Sets up Doyon perfectly. Then, the ultimate. After the spell shield goes off, Sundubu suppresses down Sivir, not able to get off that massive teamfight altering AoE damage, and as a result, finally going to go down this game. If you can't make the pick on the 1, you make it on the 4.
Yep, no, and that is the way that Fat Pikachu finds their way back into the game. They haven't found an answer yet for the bot lane push that's coming through from the Fiora. There's almost no HP left on that top inhibitor. That is going to be another inhib picked up by Jaffe. This is Soul on the table right now for Fat Pikachu, but do you think they can get out of their base to even contest this one? I'm really worried that there's a TP available right now for Jaffe. He can just recall, go to that top wave. That's going to be all 3 inhibitors down, and you have to get this benefit from the Soul really quickly if you want to go for this right now as Fat Pikachu, because I think Jaffe might be able to just end.
Well, Sundubu's getting ready to teleport. There are 2 teleports, maybe even 3 if you count both of Shen's, from the side of Fat Pikachu, so I think I could go for it, and TDE aren't even going to contest it, not going to utilize the Azir on the map, not going to utilize the Fiora teleport, and Mountain Soul over to Fat Pikachu gives them signs of life, and with the Baron buff gone, with Loach time being over, I think Fat Pikachu might be able to end this.
Yeah. It's really been the team fighting just favoring this composition so far, and I don't think that TD has really wrapped their head around how they need to be playing this composition. I'm still of the mindset that they need to put the Fiora in one lane, put Leaves in the other, and just multi-prong pressure this. Make sure that they can't take any 1v1s. You have so much wave control with the Sivir and the Azir. You can play aggressive in that mid lane, but there's so much engage potential as well between the Diana and the Rakan. They can cause that Shirelius to just get Fat Pikachu on top of the carry so quickly. They don't feel comfortable doing that so far. They've committed Zen to that side wave. There's no TP available. If a fight breaks out, it could be devastating.
Absolutely. Antunes getting cheeky in the jungle. Will find the blue buff this time.
Let's go, Catoons!
There we go. Massive hook.
Yeah, I know that's what he's looking for right now. Now, we're in this really weird game state where I really feel like Fat Pikachu can win a team fight. They're down gold, they have soul, and they have no inhibitor turrets left, and only one inhibitor at the moment, as the 4 of TDE are pushing in to go for it right now. They've already burned the Shirley's out of the Blitzcrank. That is going to be the inhibitor taken down, and now Jaffe's trying to create some pressure on the bot side. Ultravox, that was so dangerous walking up against that wall, gave him nowhere to go right there. Reen deciding not to pull the trigger, and they're going to put Jaffe away as well. The Baron that we were worried might be off the timer is now coming up, and there are double supers pushing into every wave. You can play this as slow as you want for TDE. They have full control over this Baron.
There are 35 seconds until a second potential loach time for the side of TDE, and I have to think that if Leaves picks up that Baron, it's going to be game-ending for TDE. So I really think it's important for the side of Fat Pikachu to do their best. It's really hard to push out into these waves of super minions where they're going to have to contest the Baron. And it's so tough because Jaffe is also going to apply a dangerous timer.
This is one of the only times I think I've ever seen Hullbreaker and gone, yep, that's what you should have gone. And right now they're committing 3 down towards Jaffe in the bot lane. The flash taunt misses. Jaffe gets away.
They just get Baron!
Yeah, they just give Baron for that. They're going to take this so quickly. I'm going to give it 3 more seconds.
1, 2, 3.
Take it faster, guys! All right, I'm just a little bit off. There's no smite there for Leaves. He's trolling me. But it's a 7-second Baron take. Like, what do? You're on the wrong side of the map. You need to be there to answer it as it spawns, and they're not there. And like you say, Loach time is back on the table right now for Leafs to just get into this mid-wave, kill it with that Sivir, kill it with that Azir. There's going to be so many goddamn minions coming into this mid lane now, thanks to this Bel'Veth. Really, it's just going to play like a sentry turret to buff the map. Stormblast taking a fight in this bot side. Jaffe's going to try and push it a little bit further. Has committed 4 onto him right now, but their Nexus turrets are in shambles. I don't even think TDE has to fight this, but they're going to try and get Jaffe out of there. They've already found the first kill onto the Shen. Leaves is going to find the ability to reset so far, keep himself up and alive. Triple kill for Ultravox, 2 more for Leaves, and that is 2 Nexus turrets plus a win for TDE.
Jaffe was so big this game. The amount of pressure that this Fiora called for allowed for the Bel'Veth to pick up multiple Barons, and that's just not something you can really come back from. That's what this champion does, and really well played from TDE, playing to that win condition. We said it was a really tough execution, and they executed it.
They got their Barons. Simple as that. Bel'Veth wins with Barons. They were able to pull it off. I really want to just take note to the former support of TDE, Bob Joseph, just saying a perfectly clean game with absolutely no mistakes, and I wouldn't say it any differently myself. Looked absolutely beautiful. No, of course, there's a bit of ironing out to do for both of these teams. That's the strongest I've ever seen Fat Pikachu play, and I think I've seen them play the most out of most people in this league. They look like they've really made some big improvements. They looked really confident there. Only 1 death for Doyon that game. Only 1 death for Sundubu. They just weren't able to make those team fights happen the way we maybe expected them to, and that's going to cost them in the long run. Win for TDE here is very big.
Yeah, it's really nice to just get on the board, realize that, you know, this new iteration of TDE can work together well. There were some interesting picks that we questioned, and we saw multiple times where each of them worked. That being said, yeah, Fat Pikachu actually looked really good. Their team fighting looked really solid, but overall it was sort of the macro game that they lacked, and an inability to answer that Fiora confidently really cost them, and they kept trying to collapse onto the Fiora when they needed to try and take advantages 4 versus 4 when you have the Shen teleport. And overall, honestly, a really entertaining game from both sides, and a pretty big win for TDE to pick that one up.
Yeah, we're going to be able to hear from TDE's Ultravox himself, the 6-1-5 hyper carry of that Sivir, going to clean up that game. We're going to hear from him in an interview before we move on to our final match of the day. Please don't move yourself away from this Twitch channel.
Hello, folks. Chris Edgeworth here with our third interview of the night for Mythic, and I am joined by Ultravox, victorious bot laner of Trickle Down Economics 2. I am not certain what the 2 surname is.
We're Trickle Down Economics 2 Stonks Rising. It's only correct if you say the entire name.
There you go. Trickle Down now Economics 2 Stonks Rising. Ultravox here on the desk. How are you feeling after the win?
Oh, I feel fantastic. That win was exactly what we needed. We had a pretty tough game yesterday. I felt like I really fumbled the draft for our game, but today we definitely found a lot of success. It was great. I fell again for the Sivir hype, but it worked out this time.
Well, this is a good bounce back game by you folks. I felt like even though the scoreboard is a tricky mistress, people are welcome to look at the kills and let that tell the story, but we do not dabble in that kind of results-based analysis here at Friend or Foe, except for all the times that we do. So let's talk about the preparation for this season, since we didn't have an opportunity to talk yesterday. What was it like for TDE getting ready, bringing back a storied franchise, of which I did art for the magazine, Shameless Shill, for the FFS magazine, FOF Press. Check that out, folks, when it comes to you soon. But, what was it like getting ready to bring this team back to the league?
Well, it was a little bit challenging. Our previous support, Bob Joseph, who was in Twitch chat, decided he wanted to play World of Warcraft non-stop all day every day, and therefore quit the team. So he was out of there. And then Mezuzah, of course, goes turncoat.
He's on his Wonder arc. He'll be back soon.
Oh yeah, it's okay, it's okay. He might be subbing soon. He might be making a reappearance. And then Mezuzah, traitorous, backstabs us. He's obviously learning how to play Shaco because he's deceiving us into thinking he's going to play with us again. But no, he actually joins BBZ. And we all see how that works out. Power diff, everybody. But yeah, it was a little bit difficult. We decided to take the Dragon Ball Z route. I played the role of Goku and recruited the guys who beat us. We turned previous enemies into friends. Jaffe and Antunes, of course, the Piccolo and Vegeta. They're now on our side, and they're kicking asses.
Hell yeah, dude! I love all the references. I feel like nothing more needs to be said on that part. So let's just hop right into this game right here. The spiciest thing that we saw here, of course, was Leaves picking up the Belveth. Zen on a little bit of Azir duty there. Sivir, an exceptionally strong ADC now in the current meta, since she got that little bit of soft rework, and then a classic, as storied as the day is long, Antunes on the Blitzcrank, just collecting the flashes like Infinity Stones. Talk if you would about the draft, what you folks had thought to bring into this game, and what you ended up against.
Yeah, so our draft prep for Fat Pikachu, we haven't really seen them play that much, so we were mostly going off OPGGs. Banned out a lot of their one-trick characters. Their jungler plays an immense amount of League of Legends. It's kind of scary. So we definitely prepped for that. Banned the Kayn away, even though Leaves really likes to play it. I'm still subscribed that Sivir is a really good character. I'm falling for the hype of Jeff, Joshi. They're all telling me the same thing. So, I thought we should probably try it again, especially because, we saw that they didn't pick Twitch, which is the unplayable matchup we opted into yesterday. That was terrible, terrible. PTSD. Yeah, and then Leaves really wanted to play Belveth. He's been practicing the pick a lot. I think, unfortunately, Fat Pikachu drafted especially to counter it. It's very difficult to maneuver around Malzahar ult as that, melee carry-esque champion. So he was definitely struggling. Shen W also going to be blocking most of his abilities too. A little bit tough. And yeah, we knew that Fat Pikachu probably wanted to pick an enchanter, so that's where the Blitzcrank came from. That was just preemptive right there.
Yeah, as you say about Leaves, the Belveth pick, unfortunately there's a lot of things that I wouldn't say necessarily are hard counters per se into the Belveth, but a lot of things that make it very difficult, very execution intensive. So in the end though, I felt like you folks did a good job of, even if you did have the unfortunate consequences of having difficulties around the dragon and the bot side of the map, in the very early senses, Belveth gets those fishies out of the top side, and then it just spreads that terror around the map, and you were better beneficiaries of the pressure.
Yeah.
What do you got for me?
I was just gonna say, yeah, Fat Pikachu, they macroed a lot better than I thought they would in the early game. They beat us to the Herald, and of course they clapped us at the first Dragon fight. So I gotta give props to them. They had good setup.
And on that note, something I want to bring up is, this is a classic all-chat moment where you just hit them with the better bot wins. That you had brought up in the green room as we were getting ready for the interview. You did highlight Blackpink Trash and Reen in the bot side for a good stand-up performance against you folks, Jinx and Rakan, for them. And I was just wondering, what were your thoughts overall on how laning was like for you folks, and just how you were able to transition into the mid-game into a commanding performance as you folks end up with a win?
So, the one thing that really stands out about the laning is that our first invade was like specifically crafted in the loading screen for this. We did kind of like a little bit of a more unorthodox thing where we go through the bot lane and then trying to sneak around the fog of war. I think that gets a lot of people in solo queue, and if you're not really used to it, then it's super easy to get caught out by that too. You have to stand in like a really precise spot on bot lane in the tri-bush to not get caught by that. So we had a nice little early lead there. Antunes is just, he exerts immense pressure in the lane because you're always scared of getting hooked. Makes it tough to play. Props to the bot lane of Fat Pikachu for, like you said, putting up a good performance. I thought they did solidly. It was just,
did more damage than you on the Jinx. Just for what it's worth.
Did they really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I suck then,
Jinx, bro.
What you gonna do? I can't believe you're saying bot diff though, because it's just a top gap all the way to the moon. Jaffe is just smurfing on these guys. We knew we had to put him on the Fiora because he would just tear everybody's face off, and that's exactly what he did. Did you see that guy?
Well, I mean, I actually did, and in chat, I had mentioned in the last game a little bit of my team Fiora versus enemy team Fiora. Jaffe fully embracing the enemy team Fiora role this game. It was an absolute nightmare, the whole breaker. Just like, what are you gonna do against this guy?
Yeah, sorry Geico, but Jaffe kind of made you look like a 3-year-old holding his older brother's controller, man. It's okay, you'll get him next time. But yeah, it was super great. Jaffe was absolutely critical, just 1v9 player, so I love that guy. Love having him on the team, and we definitely couldn't have won without him.
Hell yeah. Well, before we step away, Ultravox, your last opportunity while we're here together on the desk. Any final thoughts? Any shout-outs, any banter you want to leave with us?
I'm here to intimidate Rex before we play off the record. So, spoilers, we're playing the game next week pre-recorded, but we're about to face him off, and y'all better be quaking in your boots. You lost to Yubi, okay?
It's going in the black box. This will be tight-lipped. Anyone who is found leaking will be executed on site, metaphorically speaking, of course, allegedly. Yeah, so we'll be looking forward to see how that shakes out, especially after how cataclysmic, so to speak, that win was at the beginning of the game. So we'll be looking forward to seeing how that shakes out next week. Everyone, stay tuned for the next episode of Dragon Ball Z.